I'd always preferred the quiet solitude of the gym after hours, when the world outside was fast asleep and the only sound was the rhythmic clank of weights. One night, after a particularly grueling day, I decided to extend my routine. As I stepped into the dimly lit space, a chill, inexplicable shivered through my spine, even though the heater was blasting. I chalked it up to exhaustion, determined to push through another set of deadlifts. I began my warm-up on the treadmill, the steady hum of the machine oddly synchronizing with my heartbeat. But soon I started noticing things that defied explanation. The overhead lights flickered in a pattern that seemed almost deliberate, casting eerie, dancing shadows across the walls. At first I assumed it was a simple electrical glitch. Then I heard a soft, almost imperceptible whisper echoing from the far end of the gym. I paused, straining my ears, and realized it wasn't the hum of a faulty light, but a sound that resembled soft footsteps on a concrete floor. Curiosity overpowered my unease, and I stepped off the treadmill, my sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. As I passed a row of mirrors along the wall, I caught a glimpse of something, or someone, moving just behind me. I spun around, heart pounding in my ears, but the space was empty. My breath came in ragged gasps as I forced myself to continue, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination playing tricks in the low light. I resumed my workout with dumbbells, each rep feeling heavier than the last. With every clang of metal, a memory of a long-forgotten gym accident seemed to echo in the cavernous space. The sensation of being watched intensified. I could almost feel a pair of unseen eyes tracing my every movement. Then, as I reached for another weight, the lights abruptly went out. For a few terrifying seconds, I was swallowed by darkness, the only sound my own frantic breathing and the distant, rhythmic thud of a heartbeat that wasn't mine. In that suffocating blackness, I sensed a presence draw near. A cold, damp touch grazed my shoulder, and a voice, a ragged whisper, murmured directly into my ear. "You shouldn't be here." I froze, every muscle locked in terror. Just as suddenly as it had come, the light sputtered back on, revealing nothing but my sweat-drenched, terrified face mirrored back at me. I fled the gym that night, my heart pounding and my mind filled with questions. To this day, I wonder if the presence was a remnant of past anguish or something far more sinister that haunted those silent, forsaken hours. For years, I was a regular at my local gym, always timing my workouts right after work at 5 p.m. But the peak hour rush, crowds, noise, and interminable waits for machines wore me down. Eventually, I couldn't stand it anymore. Craving peace, quiet, and space, I decided to switch my routine to the ungodly hour of 4 a.m. Initially, the shock to my system was palpable, but the tranquility of those early hours soon became a balm to my soul. The gym, bathed in the soft glow of overhead lights, was nearly empty. The only sounds were the steady rhythms of my own breath and footsteps, punctuated by the subtle hum of the air conditioning. Each machine's cold metal seemed to echo the chill of the empty space. It was bliss, feeling as though I had the place all to myself, until I realized I wasn't as alone as I thought. A few sessions in, I noticed him, a tall figure with a similar build to me, always dressed in a dark hoodie, his hood pulled up to obscure his face. Like a shadow in the corner of the gym, he never interacted with anyone and moved from machine to machine with eerie precision. Curiously, he never made a sound. My attempts to greet him with a friendly hi as I passed were met only with silence. He never acknowledged my presence. As the days turned into weeks, my unease grew. The air seemed colder whenever I was near him, and his presence began to feel more ominous, his routines too mechanical. Driven by intrigue and a creeping dread, I decided to record the gym floor from my phone, hoping to catch anything that might explain his bizarre behavior. Reviewing the footage sent a chill down my spine. The video was glitchy and distorted whenever it captured him moving, as though he was some kind of specter the camera refused to focus on. Everything else was clear and normal, but not him. Later that same day, determined to unearth his story, I approached him one chilly morning. He stopped and slowly turned to face me. For the first time, I saw his face, and my heart stopped. His features were grotesquely disfigured, scars and burns marring his visage in a way that spoke of severe trauma. The sight triggered a visceral reaction. My stomach churned, my hands trembled, and a cold sweat broke out across my forehead. Shocked and frightened, I stumbled back, my mind racing with horrific possibilities. Haunted by what I'd seen, I left the gym, and later, as I drove home from work, a truck ran a red light, slamming into my car. I woke up in the hospital, battered and bruised, my face now a mirror of the horror I had seen in the gym. Recovery was long and painful. My emotions ranged from denial to anger and eventually acceptance as I grappled with my new reality. When I was finally able to return to the gym, the early morning hours, once a time of solitude and peace, now carried a new weight. My scars were too raw, too visible for the daylight crowd. I find myself drawn back to the 4 a.m. sessions, alone. Pulling my hoodie over my head, I hide my disfigured face from the world. As I move from machine to machine, I wonder if someone will ever try to reach out to pierce the veil of my solitude with a simple hi. If they did, I'm not sure I could respond, trapped as I am in my new reality. One morning, as I enter the gym, a newcomer glances my way, hesitates, and then, with a tentative voice, offers a cautious hello. I pause, the echo of weights louder in the quiet, my shadow stretching across the gym floor, intertwining with the shadows of the machines, a visual echo of my fate. I turn away, unable to face him, now the silent watcher, a spectral presence in the pre-dawn quiet, my story etched in scars, hidden in the shadows of a darkened gym. I've always believed that the gym was a sanctuary, a place where the physical effort of lifting weights could purge the mental stresses of daily life. That belief shattered one stormy evening when I decided to challenge my limits on the bench press. The gym was nearly deserted, its vast expanse of equipment bathed in the ghostly glow of fluorescent lights. I set up my bench, loaded the bar, and began my routine, determined to break my personal record. Midway through my set, as I struggled under the weight, I became painfully aware of a presence behind me. At first, I assumed a fellow gym-goer had finally appeared from the shadows to offer a spot. But when I turned to acknowledge the unseen helper, the space was empty, at least physically empty. A sudden coldness crept along my spine as I felt an icy hand gently brush my shoulder. I froze, my eyes darting around for any sign of another human being. Without warning, a gaunt, spectral figure materialized by the bench. His form was indistinct, as if sculpted from mist and memories. His eyes, hollow and unblinking, locked onto mine with an intensity that chilled me to the bone. "Keep going," he whispered in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The encouragement, though eerily calm, filled me with a dread I couldn't shake. It was as if he was urging me to push past my limits while warning me of a danger I couldn't see. I managed to complete the rep, the ghostly figure's presence both unnerving and inexplicably supportive. As I racked the weights, I noticed the faint outline of his hand lingering near mine, as though ensuring I didn't falter. The encounter continued with each set I attempted. Every time I lifted, his silent vigil persisted. Yet, with every rep, my unease grew. Who was he? Why was he there? And what did his presence mean for someone like me, striving to conquer physical boundaries? During a brief rest between sets, I mustered the courage to speak. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. For a moment, the gym seemed to hold its breath, and then his form wavered as if caught in a gust of wind. "I once sought strength here, but strength took me," he murmured cryptically. The words resonated with a sorrowful finality, hinting at a dark past entwined with the very walls of that gym. By the time I finished my workout, the spectral spotter had vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared. I left the gym with a heavy heart and a mind swirling with questions. Ever since that night, every time I approach the bench press, a lingering fear reminds me of his spectral assistance. A chilling reminder that sometimes, in the pursuit of physical strength, we may encounter forces that are far stronger and more enigmatic than we ever imagined. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-tingling horror stories. See you in the next nightmare, if you dare.